Welcome to another episode of Bragg N Bout Business. We're all the way up to number 6, where we sit down with Trish Vansickle of PFSL Investments. We talk about the uncomfortable subject for many people, money. Trish shares how she started in the financial world and her approach to helping families and individuals look at their financial situation in perhaps a new light. She also speaks on her passion for helping people with disabilities save for the future. So if you or someone you know has a disability, please listen and share the episode, as it could really help someone you love. Enjoy. This week on Bragg N Bout Business, Trish Vansickle of PFSL Investments Canada. Trish is a local financial services representative specializing in helping everyday people understand how money works, because most of us weren't taught about money in school. Her specialty is in helping clients navigate the various supports such as the disability tax credit and the registered disability savings plan. She's a licensed mutual fund dealer, life insurance agent, and current member of the local Bragg Creek Chamber of Commerce. But there's even more to her story. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here. This is exciting.
Right on. So Trish, from what I understand, you're relatively new to the Bragg Creek area, such as myself.
Yes. And look at us.
Right? Here we are.
Look at all the people we know already.
Yeah, that's right. So how did you end up in Bragg Creek? Let's start there.
It can be a long story, but I'll try and shorten it. I've had 2 boys living in Alberta for multiple years. So the youngest one moved out here at 18. He had gone through for pre-apprenticeship for electrical, didn't get, the recession basically had hit Ontario then. So I gave him the option of McDonald's or Wendy's, and he said, that's not happening. My husband's sister was already living out here, and her husband is a master electrician. And so he said, hey, we got work out here. It was booming. So within a week, my shadow, because he was my shadow, packed up and left home at 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
That had to be hard.
It was difficult, but it was a short-term thinking, right? It was just get out there, get your journeyman.
Spread your wings.
Come back home.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm sure that's what he was thinking too.
Well, we're really rooted. Like my husband's 3rd generation from where we grew up. Born and raised out there. Community was.
And where exactly?
So Brantford, home of Wayne Gretzky.
Oh, I got a buddy that lives in Brantford.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Oh, we'll have to talk about that. Yeah, and rooted right in the country. Crazy, amazing community, friends. Like my husband's, all his friends from grade school were still our best friends, right? So yeah, there was never a thought of leaving there. So he was going to go, then he was going to come back to his roots. But that was 15 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
Then the oldest one, he had a job opportunity out here, let's say. And his girlfriend at the time had finished dental hygiene. And you make a lot more money out here than you do in Ontario.
This is true.
So again, just a 5-year transition.
Just a pull. Everybody's being pulled out west.
We're just going to go down a little bit, hang out with the brother. So they moved out, and so that was it. We came out a lot. So we come to visit. We come winter camping, summer camping. I'd come out. They'd take us to Canmore and to Banff and
all the hot spots.
All the hot spots, all the amazing places. We'd go to the Roughnecks lacrosse games every time we could. A lot of traveling. So thinking, ahead that maybe grandkids would show up, we thought, let's get ourselves a condo. Anywhere in Calgary that made sense. Condos, it's snug for us. Yeah. Being country people. So anyways, it was a Sunday afternoon, clicked open the realtor.ca and refreshed it. And this house pops up and I was like, wow, this is beautiful, incredible.
Right.
Checked all the boxes, big, beautiful windows overlooking the river, no property because I didn't want to have to maintain property elsewhere. And we thought this would be great. I was thinking we'll purchase this, we'll Airbnb it, we'll stay there whenever we're in Calgary, and then we can Airbnb to help subsidize it. And then eventually, once I was kind of retired, we'd move out here. And talked to the realtor. He ran right away to Bragg because if you're going to sell something in Bragg, you want to get there. It was a quick listing. It was up on Friday. This was the following Sunday. They were looking to look at offers.
And this is in 2022?
2022, February. And so I called my husband, like, you got to get home. I want to look at this. And he's like, you're crazy. He threw an offer in, not thinking it was going to be accepted because there's multiple other offers and not knowing what anyone else was offering. We threw our offer in, held our breath, like really not thinking was ever going to happen.
Right.
There's no way with what we put in that they were going to, anyways, we got a call a little bit later and they said they're going to look at the options that night, the offers. And the realtor called and said, excuse my language, but I don't know how you did it. But they accepted your offer. And at the time I was on the couch with my husband. I looked over at him and I said, I think we just bought a house. And he said, I'm going to bed. And he got up and he went upstairs to bed.
Oh, my goodness.
But so, yeah, we knew nothing about the area. A week goes by, we figure out the financing. And I said, okay, great. We'll settle this. We have to get your inspections. And we had to have extra inspection for rental. I got them all lined up. I said, okay, great. He's like, can I ask you something? I said, sure. He goes, are you going to come out and see it? I'm like, oh, should I? It costs money to fly out there. What? He goes, it's a pretty big purchase.
It
I
is.
want to come look at it.
Yeah.
Not everything looks the same in pictures. Flew out. It's great. We're going to rent it and beat it for a while. Some issues with that we won't get into. But timing wise, our youngest son got an offer for, once he was done school, for a job with a big Four company in Toronto. Found out he had siblings here and said, hey, we could really use a forensics guy out here because our guy's going back to the RCMP.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, I think I'm going to go. Brilliant kid. Wanted to be independent, but at the same time,
sure.
A little bit of a helicopter mom. He's 20. So we just decided, you know what? Markets are good here in Ontario. And
that's right.
You only live once, Greg.
Yes.
So yeah, up for sale. The house went. Neighbors, friends still hate us.
Right.
And yeah, we haven't looked back since. Like everything just lined up.
Yeah.
And literally we were there for 3 months and the youngest one went and bought himself a condo and moved out on us anyways. Still close.
The way it goes.
Still close.
The way it goes.
So yeah, that was our abrupt welcome to Bragg. And I knew nothing about Bragg. I had no idea. I just knew it was low. It was central to where the two kids are.
Yep.
One was in the north, in Cochrane. One was in the south. 22X or 22.
Yeah, super central.
Perfect, right?
And you're in the country.
And we're in the country. So like living in a subdivision wasn't an option for us. And looking at condos, we looked at some houses and I'm like, I hear dogs and I hear kids and I hear it just didn't work for us. I said to my kids after we got here, I said, you guys never took me to Bragg. I've never been here.
Yeah.
And like my oldest son took me, the first thing he did was take me to the saloon.
Right, as you do.
Because we hadn't even told them. So when we first took the house over, he met us, took us to the saloon. And I said, why have you never took us to
So
Bragg?
he doesn't know at this point that you bought a house.
Well, at that point he did. Anyways, he had met us that day for the day we took it over, I guess.
Right.
I said, this is an incredible place.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, Mom, you've been by here a ton of times. I go, I would know this town if I'd been here before. Are you kidding me? He's like, every single time we've been to McLean Creek camping, winter, spring, summer, fall. Yeah. Hello. I said, yeah, driven by it, darn it.
Never spent any time.
How do we never go to the saloon? How do we never go to the farm? Like what? So our agenda was different. Right?
Totally.
We were just going to go backcountry camping. So it was really, really cool. As unnerving to give everything you've built. I never thought we'd leave our property.
It's a big jump.
Our friends. And we came out with a 20-foot trailer on the back of our pickup truck.
Wow.
The house had been furnished because we were Airbnb-ing it. So we sold everything in Ontario. And in that 20-foot trailer was my son's smart car.
Oh, my.
Jam-packed on the inside. Jam-packed on the outside.
Hilarious.
Our massive TV, which Brett's like, there's nowhere we're taking that. I'm like, oh, yeah, I bought that. We're taking that.
Taking that, yeah.
And literally, other than that, it's clothing.
Yeah.
A few.
Yeah, you get new stuff.
Toys,
that's all it is.
Tools.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we said. You know what? We have less property. A lot of the stuff we don't need. We had lost a house to a fire previously in the past. So the material things have a different meaning.
Of course.
And you know what's replaceable. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so that was it. We drove out. I followed him in my car and I will never forget, this is crazy, coming up the last hill on 22X. I don't even know if I can put it to words, but I had this feeling of elation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could cry now talking about it. Like I was just like overwhelmed.
So excited.
In that moment, I knew we were doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Right. Because what we had in Ontario, we'd never get back again.
Right.
But we don't need it back.
No.
We have this. And whether we stick here forever or not, I don't know. But for now, this is where we need to be.
This is home.
Yeah.
This is home. It's a great feeling. I mean, like you say, when you did the right thing, which is reassuring.
Just all worked out.
Right.
All worked out.
Yeah.
Amazingly.
That's good.
And we were just lucky because of our business that we could do that.
Right.
Right.
So PFSL.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that. Is that something you did back in Ontario as well, or is this newer to Alberta?
Yeah. So back in Ontario, I worked for the Electrical Safety Authority. I had
Okay.
been there for 12 years. Prior to that, I was a courtroom clerk. Prior to that, I worked at Shoppers Drug Mart for
Oh,
10
wow.
years of my life.
Okay.
Courtroom clerking was amazing.
There has to be some great stories
Oh,
in the courtroom.
let me tell you, I did criminal court only. I couldn't handle family court.
Oh, civil?
I couldn't. When you got to some of the bigger cases, like in Superior murder and stuff, was pretty intense. But
yeah, graphic. Yeah.
just the criminal court was fast paced. Within the first 5 days of training, they're like, "We're down a clerk. You need to take on bail court." And I never got training after that, other than like real life training.
Right, real life, yeah,
like real life.
On the fly.
I come home crying, and Brett would be, "Is it because the job is overwhelming, or because the cases you sat through?" Both.
Really? Oh.
But you know what? He'd say, "Why do you put yourself in these positions?" I'm like, "Because I meant to do more." And I felt at that time that was my thing.
Sure.
And I love to get to the bottom of a mountain and climb it, not physically.
Okay.
But in that case, like, I had no right to be there, literally. But I think I mastered that role. I love that role. I worked with amazing people, saw amazing stories, good and bad. I'm a Gemini, so I got bored. Pushed myself into the office to do finance there, and then got super bored and gave up that lush government job and took a break. And then from there, got into the Electrical Safety Authority, worked my way around and through there to a really great job, and thought I'd be there till I was 65, until we sat down with one guy to talk to us about our finances, and that changed everything.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he was from PFSL Investments, Primerica Financial Services. Brought him in. I wanted nothing to do with it. I'm not airing my laundry to somebody.
Some stranger, right?
Yeah. Not only that, so I said no twice. And then I get a knock on the door. And not only does the guy show up, but 2 other people, because he had representatives in training.
Oh, fun.
What?
You got any more out there? Come bring those guys in too.
In.
Yeah.
But literally, Greg, within the first 20 minutes of sitting there with him, I felt like I was getting slapped across the face.
Oh, is that right?
I was like, what? Because what did you learn in school about money?
Zero. How to spend it. That's about it.
That's it.
Yeah.
How to manage your credit cards, maybe. Like, how about not getting credit cards?
Yeah.
So I, at one point, and I'll be quite clear because I present this to everyone, we had an investment. It was about $78,000 that my husband had from a business that left and went to the States. Lira, locked in, can't put any money in, can't take any money out. We did what they said to do with it back then. 10 years had passed and it had grown maybe $4,000 or $5,000.
Oof.
And that's our retirement.
Right? Yeah.
That $82,000 is our retirement. And he's like, that money should have doubled by now. And I'm like, yeah, the door you just came in. See you later.
Oh my.
Like, I totally was like, this guy is just pulling strings, right? I'm like, so full of crap.
Yeah.
Then we talk about life insurance. And I'm like, oh, I got two times my salary where I work. It's great. He's like, yeah. Well, how much is that? Wow. What if you don't work there anymore? I don't work there forever. Are you though?
Right.
So we just got into this. If you asked him today, he'd probably say it was one of his toughest clients. I was so mad.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. So mad. So literally we worked with him, got our life insurance in order, learned a lot about life insurance and some of the terrible programs that are out there. Learned about what our money wasn't doing, that it wasn't that scary and it wasn't that risky to actually have your money work for you. What compound interest is, what Rule of 72 is. And I just said, I want my children to know what you just taught me.
Right.
And he said, well, the best way to do it is to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can do this. Hold on. Is that another mountain you put in front of me? And so, Brett and I decided, let's just do it together. The company offered training, education, licensing.
Awesome.
You didn't have to go to years of university. It's more of a apprenticeship type program. So we kind of took our time. We did our life licenses. April, September, we worked on our investments and mutual funds together, competed on every stage of the way, and he beat me in every single exam. I still am angry about that.
And your husband's name's Brett.
Brett, sorry. Okay. Yes. And at the time, he was working for a pool company. He had worked for Raymond Industrial for years, and his true heart passion is farming cash crops and stuff like that. And he was just looking for something to do. So anyways, long story short, we get into the business. We invest that same amount of money. 6 years later, it's doubled. We've been able to educate our children. The first one did everything the hard way, worked hard, got a job, got an education, got a job, got a girlfriend, saved up money, bought a house they couldn't afford because the bank gave them all the money they wanted. Got the phone calls of how stressed they were. Tough times, got through. Middle one, we were in the business starting to learn things, and we were able to help him understand how to save for a house. Once he got the house, he's like, how am I going to furnish it? I'm like, with all the interest that you got on the money you've grown over the last 5 years, great. Down to the 20-year-old, which, we started investing for him, who at 20 bought himself his own condo. Fantastic. And nowadays and again, it's not bragging, Greg. It's just education.
Exactly. And I think it tells the story there about, the role parents should play in helping their children learn, good principles. Absolutely. When it comes to money.
But the parents have to know it, right? That's my mom did not talk about money. No. She didn't talk about life, and God forbid she mentioned life insurance.
My dad hated life insurance. He had it. He absolutely hated it. And as soon as he could get rid of it, he did.
Yeah. And exactly, because there's reasons to have it and there's reasons not to have it. And then there's some really bad programs out there.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That costs so much crazy money. So, part of the education is, what do you need? Yeah. Why do you need it? How long do you need it for? And let's teach you so you can get to the point of not needing it. My dad made a lot of money, but he spent a lot of money. I mean, he had lots, he did fine.
Sure.
He could have done way better.
Right. Yeah.
My mom died at 53.
Oh, wow.
No life insurance, no money. And 4 young girls going, what do we do?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And we all think nothing's going to happen to us. We're only a step away from being disabled or having something going on. So, so we entered that world. I started to brand myself as Trish Talks.
Trish Talks.
Because I, again, grew up in an environment where you didn't talk about money. Even as adults in our community, I couldn't tell you if the neighbor was $1 million in debt or 2 million to the plus. Everyone drove a big brand new truck.
Right? It's not everything it appears.
You just didn't know. I coined myself as Trish Talks because I feel that people need to be comfortable talking about it. Yeah. I could sit down with friends and they would talk about what they ate, where they went for dinner, their sex life. But if you mention money,
God forbid,
they're out of the room.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about it. And it's, it comes down to, the stigma. Either they have too much and they don't want to, not too much. They have lots and they don't want to share that. They don't have anything and they're embarrassed.
Exactly.
They're not educated and they're scared to talk about it.
Yep.
And so.
And it's perpetuating too. It gets worse when that happens.
It does. It is. And, so it's the simple comments that you can make to someone to make them stop and think.
Yeah.
And, I just drew my passion from that. And then going through that is where I came across the RDSP.
Okay.
And the incredible benefits of that. And then that became my crusade.
Gotcha. Yeah. So talk a little bit about that benefit.
Yeah. So the Registered Disability Savings Program is a federal program. It's a government matching program. So there's two sides of it. There's the bonds. That's for lower income. That side of the program, depending on income, will provide the beneficiary up to $1,000 a year, up to $20,000.
Okay.
So there's a couple levels there. So under $35,000 net family, they'll get $1,000 a year. Between, say, 35 and 55, so average numbers, they'll receive a portion of that, but still up until $20,000. If they're over the $53,000 threshold, they don't receive the bond. On the other side of it, it's the grants. The grants is the match side of it. So on a typical year, a person would contribute $1,500. If they're under this year, it's $114,750 net family income. The government will take that $1,500. They will match the first $500 times 3, and the second portion, the $1,000 times 2. So for every $1,500 you contribute, the government gives you $35.
Oh, wow!
And you can do that every year until you've maxed out at $70,000. Wow! Free money from the government. If you're over that threshold, the government will match you dollar for dollar on a yearly basis, $1,000 to $1,000. You don't have to contribute those maximum amounts if you only have 500.
Sure.
Right? So that's adjustable. And if it is open and there's retro amounts, so let's say I open one and the person has been disabled or qualified as disabled for 10 years, the RDSP will go back as far as 10 years plus current. So 10,000 plus current, 11,000 gets dropped into that RDSP.
Wow. Okay.
Then on the grant side, the first couple of years they can catch up as well. We'll see them say, you contribute 3,500, we'll give you 10,500. So think about it. The first year you get 11 grand. Then you put 3,500, you get a 10,500.
Yeah.
The next year you can do that again. Typically get a good chunk of money in there, invest it properly, contribute ongoingly to it, and you can grow that money incredibly.
Absolutely. And so for people who are in that situation in life that, they have disabilities, probably going to hamper their income earning ability, this is a great way to save for their retirement.
Yeah. And it has to be, viewed as it is a retirement. So basically what happens is you continue to grow that fund until the age of 60. At the age of 60, the government will give you a document with their fund calculation saying, you have this much money in here, that's going to pay you this much on a yearly basis. How would you like that paid out? Monthly, quarterly, yearly. The program is underutilized because it's confusing for people.
Oh, all right.
It's also not a moneymaker. So banks will open them. If they open them correctly, they don't manage them properly. They typically will put them in like a savings account.
Sure. They just open it up
because
it's nickels and dimes to them.
Yeah. And it's a lot of paperwork to get one open. Investment companies, they're not going to sit there and spend hours opening something that maybe nets a couple grand for the person to begin with until it gets going. Yeah. And it's complicated, right? You have government forms, you have to talk to them about their investments, what to put it in, etc. The documents they receive saying you have your disability tax credit, now open your RDSP. I just talked to a lady today. She goes, yeah, I got one of those. I just threw it in the drawer. I didn't understand it, or when it tells them their amount, they're like, it said 1,500. I don't have 1,500. So I threw it in the drawer. Right. So there really needs to be somebody to help them understand.
Yeah. Walk them through the whole process
and just get it out there. Right now, Greg, there's about 330,000 Canadians that have the disability tax credit that would qualify for this program that don't have it in place.
Wow. Holy smokes.
Hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars.
Just sitting there waiting to be utilized.
October of last year, the government sent out 65,000 letters to people between the ages of 40 and 49 because you can apply up to 59, but you only get grants and bonds up to 49. Sent letters out to say, hey, you've got the DTC you need to get this RDSP in place. I run into people every so many days that have aged out of the program. They've missed out. January of 2024, over 330,000 letters were sent out, and we're pretty much still sitting at that number. Like, yes, we've had more people get the disability, but that ratio is still there. And there's not an easy way to streamline it, because everyone says, well, they should just open it automatically when they open the DTC, but there's an investment component to it. If I hear someone has a child with something, or they have something, or they have the Libra tester, I'm like, hey, did you know?
Yes.
I can change your life. I know it sounds corny, but it's true. My youngest son, like I said, he has health issues. He went to W. Ross Macdonald School for the Blind for the first 11 years of his life. And it wasn't until after he was done there that we got into this. And nothing to slight the school. The school is amazing. But I went back to the school and I said, why did we not know about this? How come you guys didn't tell us about this?
Right.
And the answer was, it's financial. We don't get involved with that. Like, but all you have to do is put in a newsletter. Hey, find out about the RDSP.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or find somebody to come in and talk about it to your people. That really is the consensus of a lot of communities that I approach. So CNIB was number one to open their doors to allow me to come in and educate. Your national entity.
Absolutely. Great organization.
We don't really know how it works. I do as much as I can with them. Any platform they give me, I'm driving up to Edmonton on the weekend to do a one-day thing because I want to educate more people. Mr. Seals supported me somewhat. I'm trying to work with them more. Schools that have learning disability, because it's such a broad base. Like, you can't just classify everything as a disability. You may have ADHD and it doesn't impact you on a daily basis. Right. You may have ADHD and you can't walk out your door in the morning. Right. So it's the impact of that disability or that ailment or that impairment.
So it's a pretty broad range that basically comes down to how it affects your life.
Exactly. Okay. And so the first qualification is the DTC. So that's the disability tax credit. That is the most difficult part to get in place. Now, if you're somebody with type 1 diabetes, it's an automatic. You just have to apply.
Okay.
You have a life-sustaining therapy. So that's pretty proven. But if you have COPD, but how does that impact you? Again, right. So Getting the DTC in place is difficult because doctors aren't trained in filling out those documents either. 16-page form went from 8 to 16 a few years ago.
Yeah. Doctors don't want to do that. No.
They don't. And even if they want to, there's checks and balances that the government's looking for. And if they can deny it, they're going to deny it, or they're going to ask for more. So one, how many people don't have a doctor, first of all?
More and more every day.
Right. And two, how many people have a doctor that wants to help but doesn't know how to fill the documents out right? And then lastly, how many people have a doctor that just make their own decision on whether you qualify?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
It,
that's not his decision to make.
No.
Right. It's it's his responsibility to provide the information so the government can make a decision. Neurodivergent, learning disabilities, all that stuff is really hard to identify. But if it's filled out properly, then they're going to get that DTC. And then from there, the RDSP is, qualifying for them. For the RDSP, you just need your DTC, valid social insurance number, resident of Canada or pay taxes in Canada, or the parents of pay taxes, and be under the age of 59 but 49 to qualify for the grants and bonds. So a quick example, if I can just give you the power of this program. You have one client, young man, 34, he's autistic, lives in a residence. Unfortunately, he's not able to live at home with his parents. They have contributed $21,000 into the RDSP. They have received grants and bonds and proper investment growth. And right now there's about 128,000 in there.
Wow.
So 21,000 to 128.
That's
and he's
fantastic.
34. Right?
Yeah.
So we talked about doubling years. He's got.
Yeah, he's going to double it again. Over his life in years. Yes.
Right. So that's significant for him. And just them knowing that we're going to be able to continue managing that. And so their child's going to have funds, because when you turn 60, any other programs that are out there are not going to be available to you.
Exactly. And as a parent, you think about, you're growing older. At some point your child is going to be on their own.
Yeah.
You want them to be looked after.
At least if they have, I know money's not everything, but it buys services, it buys support, it buys help. And that's what it's going to do. And I signed up a 3 and a 5-year-old the other day. And literally I could not tell the parents what that was forecasted to be for them, for those kids. It was in the millions.
Wow. Fantastic.
So to me, there's a reason that program's there. The government doesn't give away money. And I hope this program never goes away, but there is no other program like that. There's nowhere you can put your money and have it grow the way it can grow to benefit. I will have people that I talk to and they'll say, well, you know what, Trish, I don't have any money to put into this. So it's no good for me. It's not going to help me. So when I open them for free, I don't charge anything when it comes to our DSPs. The rest of my business funds me so I can do this part. Yeah. If I open an RDSP for someone who is a lower income and they never put a penny into it, and say from the age of 19, they get their $1,000 a year from the government. By the time they're 60, they'll have over $370,000 in there. And now my numbers are hypothetical numbers.
Sure.
Like, I don't want anyone going, hey, she said.
Yeah. No, exactly.
But
we can put a disclaimer on
it's not advice. It's just,
historical returns, time. Yes.
So it's 7%. Like they're going to have over $300,000 and they're never put a penny into it.
It's pretty nice. Yeah.
And that doesn't cost them to maintain it. Yes, you pay your little expense fees for it to be managed properly. But oh my goodness.
That's pretty great.
Right? It's pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
So it's powerful. I pledge to educate as many people as I possibly can on it and connect as many people as I possibly can on it, because like everything else we deal with in our world of finance, it's, the lack of education is the most expensive thing we'll ever come across. Whether it's raising your kids, taking care of your own health, taking care of your money. Yeah. If you're not educated in it, you're not going to be the best at it, I guess. Right?
That's right.
And that's coming from someone who wasn't very educated for a very long time.
Sure. Yeah,
in all areas of life.
No, I get it. Yeah, no, that's good. And you're obviously passionate about it.
A little bit.
Which helps.
A little bit.
And helping people, right?
Yeah. And I'll say that, when I do my presentations, it's not a skilled presenter, it's passion that gets me through that.
That's the best. That's always lead with passion.
Yeah. So that's my calling, I guess, right now. It makes me proud of what I do. And I want to be able to help as many people as I can with that.
So how has business been starting when you came to Bragg Creek?
Yeah, so it's a whole new world.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're living in a community, I'm not saying everyone in our community, friends and family supported us originally, because they're like, What do you mean you're working with money?
Yeah, right.
You're a farmer, Brett. You don't,
Yeah.
And it's money. So then they're like, oh, what if you invest our money and lose it all? We're going to be enemies, which isn't the case. But
Sure.
again, people have
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
stigma attached
that's
to
right.
it.
It's true.
But you still have a lot of friends that do support you, and ways to reach out through people that you know. When you come out to somewhere like Bragg and you know no one and you want to start a business like this or expand your business, I guess, it's very intimidating. Go on the fact that you know what you do is right. It's just, how do you get the ears to listen to
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. Get your name out there.
Yeah. So my initial experience out here was, we moved October, and I think it was November, and we all know the distillery.
Mm-hmm. Lovely place.
Lovely place. They had a post saying they were having a booze, bitchin', and business night.
Yes.
I fit all three of those categories. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go introduce myself to Bragg. And I'm pretty easygoing. I'm not too shy. Doesn't really matter if you like me or you don't. Back then, you used to walk into the front door and there was a bit of a breezeway, and then there was a second door.
Okay.
So now it's wide open. And I remember I left and I said to my husband, I said to Brett, I'm going to either be 20 minutes or 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because he knows I like to talk. And he's like, all right. So I pulled in there and I was like, whew, it hit me. Like, I don't know who's going to be in here.
Right.
I met a few people at this point, and they've been lovely, but I was pretty nervous. And I walked through that first door and literally thought I was going to throw up.
A little intimidating.
I was like, I'm going to go in here. And I didn't know what the atmosphere would be like, how formal it was, if I had to get up there and say what I had no idea. And I was like, I'm going to introduce myself to a portion of Bragg right now. And if I don't make a good impression, I know small towns, it's going to get around, right? So how do I do this? And I was like, just stop.
Overthinking it. Right?
Overthinking. So I walked in the front door. I knew nobody except one person, Jen. She I didn't even know her, just had been introduced. She kind of said hi. So I was like, okay, there's one face here I know. Yeah. Pony not up to the bar. I'm like, oh, I'm not a big drinker, but I'm going to get a drink. I ordered myself a blackberry sour. So I had a couple sips of that, a couple more sips of that.
Settled your nerves.
Settled my nerves.
Right.
Hi, my name's Trish. How are you?
Yeah.
What are you doing, Brad?
Yeah.
Really just opened myself up, just took that little edge off. And so I had some conversations with different entities that are out here. And I had a second blackberry sour. And I said, okay, so this is where the bad impression might come in. Just kidding. I was like, wow. So I'm going to head home now. I'll just take what I did. And I did. I went home.
First step. It was a first step.
And it was big and it was unnerving because, again, finance has just got something attached to
Sure.
it. When I came out here, I said to myself, I want to be the person people in Bragg come to. But as much as I coined myself as Trish Talks, I really sheltered myself from actually doing that. I was afraid. I was afraid, not of what I do, but just putting myself out there.
Yeah,
right?
It's a big step.
I joined the chamber.
You did. And so when did you join the chamber?
It was not long after, the spring of 2023.
Okay. So a couple of years ago.
I joined initially just as a member to get myself out there, to meet the people in the community, see what else is out there. Say, hey, I'm here if you're looking for another option. And then eventually join the board because I felt like there's maybe a little bit more I could input. I'm somewhat limited to what I can do because of our governances or whatever, but I could be an active member of the board. And so, been introduced and met yourself and so many other
lovely people.
Yeah. And through those people, met other people, just the community's incredible.
It's networking, right?
And I think just recently I decided I'm going to step it up a little bit. No, I'm going to just put myself out there, maybe do some in-person seminar, do some more online stuff. I'm not the best at social media, but just put myself out there more. I've got some great clients out here already.
Fantastic.
I've had a lot of success and had a lot of fun with. And so that, again, has rebuilt my, it's not, I don't have the confidence because I know what I do is amazing. And I know I can really, and I know that sounds braggy, but bragging, right? But it's just confidence from seeing what I have been able to accomplish for people, not just ourselves and my family, but friends, people that have just trusted me to help them out. So,
and that reinforces it, right?
Yeah.
It just reinforces your passion and you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. When you can sit down with someone and they're paying like $3,000 a year for a minimal amount of life insurance for a cash value policy where the cash side of it's never going to get paid out to their beneficiary. And you can put them in something that makes sense. And we do have like a holistic view. Like the goal is to sit down and see all the gears in the clock. Right?
Exactly.
Whether your life insurance is over here and it's fantastic, I'm going to tell you. If it's crappy, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
If your investments are here and they're not doing what they should be, I'm going to give you another option. And I say that as I'm not a salesperson, I'm an educator. I'm going to say this is option A, this is option B.
Right.
Stay where you are, you can make a change.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. And then at least at the end they go, yeah, okay, things like all these gray clouds above my head when it comes to finances are now clear. Right. One question I'll ask people is, do you know how much money you need to retire? Can I retire at 65? 90+% people could never tell you what kind of money they need accumulated to retire at the age of 60 or 65. Maybe they want to retire early.
Yeah.
Right. So we can sit down and take that down and take the picture and present to them what we call a FIN number, your financial independence number, and say, if you do this, like this is where you need to be, this is where you are. Yeah. So this is how we get you there. And then they know, right? You can shoot arrows, but if you don't have a target, you're not going to hit it.
You got to set a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then work the plan to get there.
Yeah. So it's fun just opening those windows for people so that they can understand what they need to do. Sometimes it's hard. Yeah. Sometimes you're like, you got a spreadsheet of debt. We got to deal with the debt before we can deal with the investments, or again, a crappy life insurance.
And it's having that honest conversation with somebody that you can trust, that helps them. Like, you got to get your ducks in a row here, because there's only a finite amount of time you got.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. You never want to make someone question what they've done in the past. You just want to say, let's, from here moving forward, this is what you need to do.
Yeah, that's right.
We didn't know what we needed.
No, exactly. Right. I mean, and you were one of the hardest customers to start with.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you need to know when to push.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm like, I'm gonna live off my pension. Well, what if you commute your pension? What? That's a whole other amazing thing people don't know about, is commuting pensions.
Right.
Not right for everyone.
Sure.
But who it's right for. Man, totally different life outlook when you can control your own funds.
No, it's a big impact. I remember I was in the financial services industry going back 20, 25 years ago. I remember selling a life policy to this farmer in southern Manitoba. And I did the needs analysis with him. And it came out that he needed X amount of money. They had a big farm operation. We showed them the quote for, I think it was term 20 or something like that made sense for them at the time. The wife said, absolutely not. That's too much money. Fast forward, delivered the policy. I remember I delivered it to him on a tractor. He was harvesting.
That's so awesome.
Delivered the policy to him. 3 months later, he was dead. And of course, when we did the policy, we had to sign off that they went against my recommendations and how much they needed. They had probably a third of what they actually needed.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. But I was still able to deliver a check to the widow.
Still something.
And she knew that I knew.
It was unspoken.
It was unspoken. And I felt good that we were able to get them some money, because she was in a tight spot. It's not what they needed.
Well, not what they needed. And it sometimes does come down to that, Greg, where you're like, a little bit of something.
Exactly.
It's better than a lot of nothing.
That's right.
So life insurance is a difficult conversation, but it's a lot more difficult if it's not there. Yeah. My goal is just make somebody comfortable. And if I walk away and I never see them again and they never work with me, at least I know I've given them something, some education,
something to think about,
some guidance.
Yeah. And maybe the next person they come in contact with, it'll sink in a little more.
It'll sink in more. I do these seminars. At the end of the seminars, I typically try and give them 2 or 3 questions to ask where they're going to go invest.
Yeah.
Right? So if you go to your bank and you get somebody that first knows what an RDSP is, and you sit down with them and you ask them, tell me about the RDSP, and they can't, because you now know what it is, they're not the people to invest it with.
Yeah.
If you ask them if they're going to contact you yearly to find out what your contribution amounts are, and they go, that's not our job, that's up for you.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the person. There's these questions we can arm them with, so that, again, the education is the number one piece. If I'm fortunate enough to work with them afterwards, great. That's awesome. Yeah. If all I've done is given them some guidance and tools and education, then I think I've done something for them.
Good.
So
excellent. So no regrets then starting the company up and
if we weren't doing this, we wouldn't have been able to relocate out here, knowing that the passion is here. So I've been here for a couple of years, but I'm just at the start of my journey. I think anyone in the community that has opened up and started working with me, and for the referrals I've gotten from them, especially lately, it's been pretty turbulent, but they know, right? They can call me. Yeah. Oh my gosh, what, you know,
Exactly.
so-and-so said this, and
Yeah.
hold their hand and check their objectives and their goals. But I'm going to go all out and be,
Yeah, that's great.
this is me.
That's great.
Trish talks. You want to listen? Come on in.
So we've kind of talked around it a
Yeah.
little bit already, but what is one thing that you would like to clear up about your industry and your profession that you would like people to know?
It's not that difficult. I think society makes us feel that investment and people that work in investments are a bad thing. Money makes people bad. You know, money just makes you more of what you are and supports you in who you want to be.
Yeah.
And it's not that difficult.
No,
It's
you
not
just have to
that
know the right
difficult.
people.
You just have to know, you just have to have that education piece.
Yeah.
And you decide to do with it what you want. What does the rule of 72 mean? Your money can grow in how many years? How do you know that, right? Just those simple concepts that make them think. The rule of 72 literally was the one where I was like, who made this up? This ain't true.
So talk a little bit about the rule of 72
Sure.
for people who.
So the rule
may
of
not be familiar.
72 is this general rule that says if you take the number 72 and you divide it by your rate of return, that's going to indicate how many years it's going to take for your money to double. Let's go something simple. If you take the number 72 and you divide it by 10%.
Sure.
Which people go, oh, you can't get 10%. Yeah, you can.
You can.
Quite easily.
Yeah.
That means every 7.2 years, the money you have invested will double.
Right.
So if you have 100 grand, 7.2 years, 200 grand, 400 grand, 800 grand, 1.6.
Right.
And I have an example of like $10,000 invested at 3%, invested at 6%, invested at 12%. And you end up with either 40,000 or 2 million. It's the same money.
That's right.
I think the other big thing that I would want people to know is that there are places where you can, everyday average people can invest that aren't these places that want minimum investments, and that isn't a bank. I sat down with a gentleman from an investment company and he's like, what's your minimum? Like, my minimum. What's your minimum? He says, well, officially it's 300,000. My boss doesn't want me to talk to anyone unless they have $1 million to invest.
Mm-hmm.
They've just rebranded themselves as a wealth company, and that's what they want. What's your minimum, Trish? 25 grand? No, $25. If you are a 20-year-old kid and you want to start investing,
right?
You are in the industry. You understand like $20 a month at 19 years old is a lot of money.
Right.
Right.
I wish I started at 19 years old. Jeepers. Yeah.
It's huge. And he's like, that's not even worth it. I'm like, for who? Because you know what? I'm going to help that kid, and who knows what happens in their future. Maybe I can help them with education savings, disability savings, how to buy a house, retire. Maybe they get an inheritance. What do they do with that? Right now, we have this great wall of wealth, they call it, where there's this population of people that are moving on, right? So mom and dad have worked their entire lives and built this incredible wealth. They don't talk about money because they come from the world of not talking about money.
That's right. Different generation.
Different generation. Yeah. Kids have no idea what's happening. Mom and dad pass. All of a sudden, there's this ton of money. Kids don't know what to do with it. And I say kids, I mean adults. So it's not properly managed.
And there could be tax liabilities.
Right?
All these things.
Absolutely. New cars, boats, all this, and it's gone. So everything mom and dad have worked for 60 years is gone. Whereas if they would have just taken the moment to have themselves educated, then their legacy is going to live on. It's just being able to help that transition period, and also letting parents know that you can be comfortable because I'm going to work with your kids. Yeah. Like, I'm going to help them do the right thing so that money can continue to support them.
Exactly. And that's half of life, right? When people know, it's not how much you know, but how much you care.
100%.
Right?
Yeah. I think when I work with people, it's the relationship I build with them first.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes both ways, because if I feel that it's not a good match, we'll say, this is what I'm looking for in a client as much as you are looking.
It's like dating. My wife's in mental health, and she says the same thing to her clients. Is this might not work, but date until you find somebody that you click with.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's your proudest business moment?
Every single time I see money deposited into an RDSP.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like yesterday, I got a list, right? Because the beginning of the year, you start seeing the yearly deposits or accounts that I've opened. And then so you kind of just get this plunk day where bonds are paid and match grants are paid. I just like, yes, yes. Yeah. This is amazing. I've really advocated for our company to streamline the process, the RDSP process, just to apply. And I'm doing education within our entity.
Excellent.
So that more advisors are comfortable doing it, because it was so complicated. for them, it's a door opener as well. If you're new in the industry, everyone knows somebody with a disability. And if you can start out helping people on a compassionate level, and then once they invest in an RDSP and they start to see the returns, it will help that representative grow and help more people too.
So what have you learned so far having your own business? What lessons would you like to pass on to other people that are looking at maybe getting into financial services or just being an entrepreneur and starting their own company?
Yeah, entrepreneur, I think it's in your blood. I worked with people that sat in the ESA call center. They've sat there for 20 years. Thank God they do it. They'd never want to get out of that seat. That's their comfort zone. Being an entrepreneur is not comfortable.
It is not.
And if it is, then you're not doing something right.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
If you don't wake up every morning wondering, where's my next client coming from? You just have to be very super, super resilient and know that you're going to put in 10 times the work as the next person doing 9 to 5. But the satisfaction you're going to get is going to be 10 times the work doing 9 to 5. And not criticizing 9 to 5.
No,
I did that
of course. It's not for entrepreneurship is not for everybody.
Yeah. I think it's just listening to your heart. I have the confidence and conviction because I have the experience now.
That's right.
But it's taken that time, right? So as an entrepreneur, experience leads to that confidence, and then that confidence leads to your conviction, which leads to more experience.
So I got some personal questions for you now. What did you want to be when you grew up?
I really just wanted to have kids and stay home, because I think early on for me, education was not going to be an option for lots of reasons, mostly financial. And so I was just going to be a really good mom. That's the only job I thought I wanted.
And how things changed.
How things change.
What did your parents want you to be?
Whatever I wanted to be. At one point, I was going to be a hairdresser.
All right.
Yep. Went to school. Mom thought that would be great, be a hairdresser. I got to the point where they brought in some men and gave me a straight razor and said, they're going to teach you how to shave them. And I said, I'm done. That was the day I quit.
That was the day you quit.
So,
what was your first job?
Other than mucking stalls for my horse, getting paid. I had to muck stalls so I could get my riding lessons. Then I got this great job working for a laundromat.
Oh, all right.
Laundromat / dry cleaners. Minimum wage was $6 and I got paid $3. I was 16 years old.
It was a different time.
It was a different time.
It was a different time. What was your favorite job? Or maybe this is it.
This is definitely it.
Yeah.
Prior to this, my favorite job was being a court reporter or court clerk. Yeah.
That would be super interesting.
It
always give a few minutes at the end of the interview to talk about what you got going on. Anything you want to plug?
I'm just going to say, for anyone watching that is interested in just having a chat about money, whether it's reviewing where they're at, whether they're just getting started, whether they're desperately in debt, whatever the case may be, or have kids that they feel, kids don't always listen to their parents and they just want someone to give some advice to their kids on where to start, reach out and then keep an eye out, because I'm going to start to do some seminars around the community where people can come and have a chat, see if I can help someone out that you love.
Right on. Yeah. Well, Trish, thanks very much for coming on Bragg N Bout Business.
Thank you.
And I wish you absolute best. Welcome again to Bragg Creek. It's a couple of years.
You
I'm
too.
a couple of years in as well. So
high five to that.
Yeah, great.
And thanks to Bragg for welcoming us.
Right.
What an incredible community full of incredible people from all different walks of life. It's been amazing.
Excellent. Well, good luck to you, Trish.
And thank you for this. This is amazing. I can't wait to watch more of these.
Right.
I will never watch mine, but no,
Brett will.
I do appreciate it. Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Trish. And if you would like more information on the Registered Disability Savings Plan offered through the Government of Canada, please reach out to Trish. Her website link is in the show notes. Next week, this is one I've been patiently waiting for. We sit down with one of the newer restaurants in Bragg Creek, Von Essen, a family-owned restaurant and bar specializing in German cuisine. Be sure to tune in. Special thanks to the good people down at Cowboy Trail Brewery for their support in sponsoring the show. And if you're a business owner in Bragg Creek or do business in the community, please consider, if you're not already, becoming a member of the Bragg Creek Chamber. The Chamber is the voice for local small businesses. By becoming a member, you participate in making that voice even louder. Plus, for a very nominal membership fee, you are able to access a variety of benefits from insurance, marketing, and networking opportunities. Check out the website at visitbraggcreek.com. Have a great week.